Namaskar, all of you. So, today we are having this year's Odisha Judicial Service 2022 topper rank one, uh, Shushrita Mishra with us. Welcome and namaskar. Uh,
Namaskar, sir. Thank you, sir.
in today's discussion, we will, try to understand her preparation strategy and what she would recommend the aspirants, not only of Odisha Judicial Service, but those who are preparing for various other judicial services and law exams in general. Okay, so let us start with the discussion. So, first of all, a big congratulations, Sushrita, for your grand success.
Thank you, sir.
So, first tell us, from which age or any incident from which you decided that you are going to appear for judiciary.
Sir, I was in class 7th when we were being taught in social studies about the institutions of the state. And there I came across the concept of judiciary, the institution of judiciary, where I found that this institution is an independent institution and the integrity it carries and the level of trust people have on this institution made me really interested to be an instrumental in this institution, sir. So since then, I have always wanted to be a part of this. And the best part about judiciary is that it is not subject to anything. It's not accountable to anybody except the law of the land. So that actually attracted me a lot to pursue my career in this institution, sir.
Okay, and this was your first attempt.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Basically, what was your total time span of preparation specifically for this exam? Because this is a general query of students like, can I crack OJS in 5 months, in 4 months? Okay. Uh, what was the general time frame, not for law in general, specifically for this exam?
So, firstly, I would like to tell that I was a good student in my college. I used to score good marks. And I started preparing for this examination after I completed my integrated law in 2022. But I started my preparation in January, February of 2023. So we maybe before a month the before the notification was out, I started my preparation there, and since the month of February till September it went on. But I can't say that within that entire period I have devoted every single minute or every single day for the study. There were days where I did not study and I used to think about a lot. Like I used to get pressurized that maybe I would not be able to complete the course. So I completed the course in a complete haste, I would say. But I would suggest everyone to kindly take out 1 year for the preparation so that one can fare through this in a very smooth manner and not like me. Without being in any haste and to smoothly carry out, it's good if you take out 1 year of the time for devoting this. But apart from that, I would say one thing. If a person who is enrolled in the LLB syllabus or the LLB course should start the preparation from the very first day of the college, and every day by devoting 1 to 2 hours of time, by the end of that, one shall be so much fundamentally clear in the core subjects and the other subjects. And by keeping oneself aware with the legal developments and the judgments that are being passed every day, every alternative day, I believe that this journey will be far easier than others who start at the last period of the time.
Okay. Before we go to your strategy of preparation, another common question which I get from lot of students is, "Sir, ଟିକେ notes ଟା ଦେଇଦେବେ, notes ଟା ପଢିକି ଆମେ ପଳେଇବୁ." But most of the toppers they generally prefer going for the textbook. So, what was your approach? Textbook, and then in the final stages for revision, you had your notes or ready-made notes from the market. What was your strategy, and what would you suggest to the aspirants?
So, I would say that I had myriad of sources. Like the vast source I had was the internet. So everything one searches from gets it on the internet, in the Google or the YouTube. There are so many channels to learn about things. But it's wise to keep one's sources limited, because if we start taking notes from elsewhere, from different types of other sources, it gets very messy at the time to get through them. So it's very important. It should be compact. One should actually pick only the relevant parts and should discard other things which are very common and can be inferred otherwise as well. For me, sir, I confined myself to the Bayrex and the reference books. If I would be allowed to name them out, sir. Like,
Yes, surely, because I will be asking you statute by statute for this subject, which textbook you followed.
all
Okay, so
right,
that
sir.
we will do. So that the new students, जो माने नुआ एबे prepare करिवे, निजे prepare करिवे, जो माने कौनसी कोचिंग सेंटर की institutional कोचिंग नेबेनी निजे prepare करिवे, तो तांको ପାଇଁ सेटा बहुत बड़ा help ହେଇଯିବ. We will see paper by paper which book you followed. Okay.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ତ ପ୍ରଥମ ଜିନିଷ ତ ଆମକୁ ନିଜର ଯୋଉ ବେସ୍ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରଙ୍ଗ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ବେରେକ୍ଟରେ ହିଁ ନିଜକୁ କନଫାଇନ୍ କରିବାର ଅଛି। ଯେତେ ଅଧିକ ଥର ଜଣେ ବେରେକ୍ଟଟାକୁ ପଢିବ ସେ ଅଧିକ ରିଅଲାଇଜ କରିବ କି ଆଚ୍ଛା ଏଇ ଜିନିଷଟା ପୂର୍ବ ଥର ମିସ୍ ଆଉଟ୍ ହେଇଯାଇଥିଲା, ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ କନସେପ୍ଟ ବାହାରିଲା। ଇଭେନ୍ ମୁଁ ଏବେ ବି ଯଦି ଆଉ ଥରେ ବେରେକ୍ଟ ପଢିବି ଦେନ୍ ଆଇ ଅଲସୋ ଗେଟ୍ ଟୁ ନୋ କି ୟା this is a new thing I'm getting to learn. ଆଉ ଯଦି ବି ଆମେ ଜାଣିଯାଇଥିବା ବାରମ୍ବାର ରିଭିଜନ ହେଲେ ମାଇଣ୍ଡରେ ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଯିବ ଓକେ ଏଇ ସେକ୍ସନରେ ଏଇଟା ଅଛି। This is relevant from the point of view of preliminary examination, because preliminary examination ରେ ଆମର section ଉପରେ ବେଶୀ question ଟା ଆସିଥାଏ। It's important ସେଥିପାଇଁ ବେରେକ୍ଟଟା ପଢିବା ଦରକାର। ତାପରେ ତାର ଯୋଉ concerned reference books वगैरह ଥାଏ ସେଇଟାକୁ ବି ପଢିବା ଦରକାର। ସେଟା ମୁଁ ବାରମ୍ବାର ରିଭିଜନ କରିନି। ବହୁତ ସାରା ଜିନିଷ ଲେଖା ହେଇଥାଏ। ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସପୋଜ କେଲକରର ବୁକ୍ ଉଠାଉ, ଇଟ୍ସ ଭେରି ଭାଷ୍ଟ। ତ ଆମକୁ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଉଠେଇବାର ନଥାଏ କାରଣ ବହୁତ ସାରା ଜଜମେଣ୍ଟ ଥାଏ। ଆମକୁ ବେଶ ରେଲେଭେଣ୍ଟ ଜିନିଷ ଉଠେଇବାର ଥାଏ ଏଣ୍ଡ ସେଇ ବୁକ୍ରୁ ନିଜର ନୋଟ୍ସ ବନେଇବାର ଥାଏ। And sir, I would like to say that I made my own notes. I have never ever relied upon any other notes because ମତେ ବୁଝା ଆସେନି। And I believe ଯଦି ଜଣେ ନିଜ notes ନିଜେ ବନେଇବ ତାହେଲେ ସେ ପିଲାଟା ବୁଝିକି ବନେଇଥିବ। And ଯଦି ଆମେ କାହାକୁ notes ଦେଇଦେଲେ ବି ନା ତବେ ସେ ପିଲାଟା ଏତିକି ଗ୍ରାସ୍ପ କରିପାରିବନି ଯୋଉ ୱେରେ ଆମେ ବନେଇଥିଲେ। So I would suggest everyone to please make their own notes. ଯଦି notes ବନେଇବା ଜାଣିନାହାନ୍ତି ଆପଣମାନେ ରେଫର କରିପାରିବେ ଅନ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କ ନୋଟ୍ସକୁ ଦେଖିକି ଆଚ୍ଛା ଏଇ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚରରେ ନୋଟଟା ବନାହବ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଆଫ୍ଟର ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଟ୍ରାଏ ଟୁ ମେକ୍ ୟୁର ଓନ୍ ନୋଟ୍ସ। ଆଣ୍ଡ ଆମେ ଯେତେ ଥର ଅଧିକ ପଢିବା ସାର୍ ସେଥର ଇମ୍ପ୍ରୋଭାଇଜ ହେଇ ଚାଲିବ। ନୂଆ ନୂଆ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣ ନୋଟ୍ସ ବନଉଛନ୍ତି ସେତେବେଳେ ନୋଟ୍ସଟା ତ ଗୋଟେ କପିରେ ରହିଲା, ତା ସହିତ ଯାହା ଲିଗାଲ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ଯାହା ଜଜମେଣ୍ଟ ଆସୁଛି ସେଟା ଯଦି ଏକ୍ସଟ୍ରା ଆସିଯାଉଛି ତା ସାଇଡରେ ଯଦି କିଛି ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଥିବ ୟା ଫିର କିଛି ଷ୍ଟିକ୍ ନୋଟ୍ସ କରିକି ସେଥିରେ ଆଡ୍ କରିଦେଲେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ଜିନିଷଟା ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହଉଛି ନା ସେଇ ଜିନିଷରେ ବି ଆପଣ ଅପଡେଟ୍ ହେଇକି ରହିପାରିବେ। ଆଉ ସେଇ ଜିନିଷଟାକୁ ରିଭାଇଜ କରିବା ନିହାତି ଦରକାର।
Okay, so now we will come to the important part of the books you are referring. So there are a lot of other students who are preparing for other judicial exams also. So this part we will keep in English. So let us start with procedural laws. First, CPC, CRPC, and evidence. What were the textbooks or reference books that you were following?
Certainly, sir. Sir, for procedural, I followed the Bare Acts. For CRPC, I would recommend everyone to go through the Bare Act on and again every day. And for the reference book, I had referred R.V. Kelkar, and from that, I made my own notes. For CPC, I believe that more than the Bare Act, the book is of more importance. Here, I would like to give some more weightage to the book because it's kind of very messy to go through the CPC Bare Act sometimes. But it's advisable to go through that at least once or twice and to know the important orders and the sections of the act. And I would recommend everyone that it's wise to read the sections as well as the order simultaneously and to read them conjointly, not like I would complete first the section part, then I'll move to the order. So it's very important to link the parts together and read. For that, sir, I followed Takwani's book. And for evidence, Barrett is a must. And the book I followed was Batuklal, sir.
Okay. Another aspect is like you did integrated preparation for prelims or mains, or you studied separately for prelims and mains. ବହୁତ ଜଣ ଏଇଟା ପଚାରନ୍ତି ଆମେ ପ୍ରଥମେ prelims ପାଇଁ ପଢିବୁ ତାପରେ ଆମେ mains ପାଇଁ prepare କରିବୁ. So what was your approach and what would you recommend?
So my recommendation is read for the sake of reading, first of all. First one needs to read that what is there in that. Let's not have any main or preliminary approach. Let us understand what the book is about, what is its purpose, and how it's going to be relevant in the examination. After one is done with that, we should start preparing for the main. Let us not think about the preliminary because while one is preparing for the main answer writing, in that the preliminary is automatically getting prepared. One is getting automatically prepared for that. But for me, once the notification was out, by that time I had started preparing for the mains actually. But when the notification was out for preliminary, I devoted 15 to 20 days for my preliminary examination. And since I was quite thorough with the fundamentals and the nits and grits of the core subjects, it was easier for me to focus on the preliminary. And for preliminary, I would like to request everyone to please do more and more number of previous year questions, more and more number of MCQ questions, and to put a clock beside you while you're doing the question paper. It's important that that should be completed within a proper time frame. So for that, I would say that one need not confine oneself to the previous year questions of the OJS preliminary, but also other state judiciary examinations.
Now, what were your optional combinations for OJS?
So I had law of crimes and torts, then I had personal laws, and then property law.
And then the textbooks which you followed or reference books which you followed for these papers?
Sir, for personal law, I followed, for Hindu law, I followed Paris Dewan, and for Muslim law, it was Akil Ahmad. Then for sir, the property law, I followed R.K. Bangia. That's a really helpful book for me. And for specific relief, there is a book of contract by R.K. Bangia. At the back of the page, there is a part that's devoted for specific relief. I relied upon that part. And for limitations, sir, I prefer the Bayer Act, and a little bit of portion is there in the Takwani that's devoted for limitation. And for limitation, actually, I practiced the past year questions. So by practicing the past year questions, I got to know that these are the important parts and these are to be written. So I improvised on that. And for IPC, I followed SN Mishra, and for torts, RK Bangia.
Okay. Now coming to another paper which many students have some issues with, that is your compulsory paper, English and Odia. So how did you prepare? And uh, for example, 150 word essay will, short essay will give you 50 marks. So you have to, what was your strategy for preparing this English paper?
Sir, I'm sorry to say, but this is the subject I had paid the least attention to. And actually, I had my best strong in English and India. When I was in school, sir, I was very nice. Like I was a good orator in the school, and I had received many prizes in essay and debate competitions. For that reason, the language subject was never a barrier for me. I actually have a very special uh, I have a very special part for the language of English and Odia as well. So I'm good at both. So I didn't have to lever much on that. But one thing I had to put my efforts was the translation part. So sometimes we know what the proper meaning of the word is in Odia or English, but at the right moment it does not strike. So for that, it is advisable to read Odia newspaper, to read English newspaper, and to practice translation every day. So there is a book, sir, where the last 70 from 1975 question papers have been compiled there. So what I did, I took that book and practiced last 10 years question papers that was related to translation. And for the essay part, I would say, sir, it's important to read the editorials both in English and Odia, that not only adds to one vocabulary but also gives a proper mindset and proper idea to write upon. So it's important to balance that out. Whoever is having any problem in English should devote at least 1 hour of their schedule to that, and that will be easy to go there. So for that, I would recommend, so practice is the key. But I believe since most of the people are comfortable in Odia while they come from the Odia medium background or from the English medium background, that should not be a big problem. The problem is the translation part, and revision, proper revision and proper practice is the way, sir.
Okay. Excuse me. Now, coming to the structure of your answers. So, what were the basic ingredients of your answers? Did you write in paragraphs, in points? You use legal maxims, and another very important thing is, did you make diagrams and figures, flowcharts, etc. in your answers? Value
Yes,
addition, any value addition that you did?
certainly so. Sir, if we compare this year's question with the last year question papers, we find that this year we did not have any direct question, or like we had the least number of direct questions. So for the past year questions, I would say if any direct question comes, I would recommend everyone that kindly start with an introduction and then move to the question what is there, to write the relevant provisions, the underlying principle, the related maxim, if any, and to substantiate with some landmark case laws. It is not important to write each and every case law to fill the copy with case laws, but two to three important landmark case law would justify that. And then to conclude it. But if a question comes like of this year, which is mostly an application-based question, it's important to follow a structure. For me, sir, I started with the what is given. Like I wrote the facts in a very summarized, in a very brief manner. I gave the heading facts. Then I wrote the facts. Then I made a heading for issue. Then I wrote the issue, what the issue is. Then I moved to another heading, analysis. So there I wrote about what are the provisions, what is the maxim, what is the underlying principle, and what other factors, ancillary or incidental factors, are there to be added on. And I substantiated with one or two case laws. Then I came to the main question that was asked in the question paper. So whatever was asked right now, by applying the law and analyzing that and properly producing in the paper, I wrote the conclusion, and finally I gave it a finding. So this was my structure, and this was mostly for the procedural one. And so far as other subjects are also concerned, this I believe would also work out. And so far as diagrams are concerned, sir, yes, it's important, but not in every question paper. The more we do the question paper, we get to know in which question our diagram is important. Sometimes the time does not permit us to write about everything. So in that case, a visual representation in the form of charts or diagrams or a flow chart would actually help the teacher to understand that the student is aware about all these things, but could not write it, but has the knowledge about this. So I had also made diagrams, sir, in the Muslim law where there was a question for void and voidable marriages. So I had made a chart in which cases it will be void or voidable. So
Okay, okay. So now coming to the most interesting aspect, that is the interview. So tell us something about your actual OPSC interview, and let us start with the attire. What attire did you choose? And then once you reached there, what were the questions that were asked to you? And how did you reply? And at the end of the interview, what was your, like you felt that okay, interview has gone well, or
sir, it was completely a new experience for me, and a much better one than I was apprehensive of. So, sir, going from my attire, I wore a white sari with a blazer, and I had made a bun. So, one has to be very minimalist in this, but must look very confident and presentable in that. It's not required to put a lot of makeup or make a hairstyle. It's not required. What they are actually testing the personality, and the first thing to judge one's personality is how we present our physical self. So my date was on 20th of December. When I reached there, The formalities regarding the document verification was done, and I had my interview in the second part of the day, which commenced at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So, in the panel, Honorable Justice Shri Sanjay Panigrahi sir was there, and Honorable Chairman sir of OPSC, he was also there, and another respected member of the OPSC were also there. When I entered them, I greeted them with Namaskar, and I would say, sir, that the honorable panelists were so cordial in their behavior. I did not feel like that I was giving an interview. And I would also vouch for others that it was not only me who said the similar thing, but every other co-interviewee said the same thing, that they were very cordial in their approach. They did not make any pressurizing atmosphere or ambience for the student. They let the student say about himself or herself in a very free and presentable manner. So the question when I entered, they were first, they asked me to sit down, and Justice Panigrahi, he asked me that whether whether I'm practicing, or am I pursuing my LLM? Then I said, yes, sir, I'm pursuing my LLM. So one of them said that, um, do you always smile like this, or are you smiling here just because you're in the interview? And I told them, no, sir, it's a very natural thing. I keep on smiling. So they were like, okay, one should always smile. This is a very good gesture. Then, sir, I was asked about my hobbies. So, since they had read in my biodata form that one of my hobbies is to read the Indian mythological books, so the Honorable Chairman sir asked me that who is my favorite character in the Indian mythology. Thereafter, they asked me why I had chosen this law or judiciary, to which I answered about my childhood dream to become part of this institution. So Justice Panigrahi asked me, "Do you really think that judiciary is independent? Because there is a lot of hue and cry that judiciary is not independent." So I said, sir, it's it's not the job of judiciary to be the favorite of everyone. It's the job of judiciary to discharge justice, and it is discharging. It's just its duty very well. And there will be people who will be saying a lot of things, but we need to maintain the focus for which we are here in this field and to serve the nation. So. Thereafter, I was asked what is the purpose of the first track courts, and who establishes them. Thereafter, I was asked under which document were the first track courts were established. Which, sir, I could not answer this part, under which document, to which Justice Panigrahi said that it was the 11th Finance Commission. Then, sir, I was asked what is my favorite subject. So I said Indian Evidence Act. So he asked me what is burden of proof, what is Section 85B of the Indian Evidence Act, what is the purpose of Indian Evidence Act. Thereafter, I was asked two application-based questions. One of them was if there is a room and someone wants to give the CCTV footage of the room, then what are the formalities to be fair, to be done in order to produce that as an evidence? And the other question was if someone is watching any kind of pornographic content and that is being seized by any police officer, then how far this is justifiable? Thereafter, sir, I was asked about who is my role model in the field of judiciary. And another question I was asked that what are the ICT measures that have been taken by the state to make justice more accessible to people in India? So, sir, I was not aware of the term ICT. So I asked them, sir, could you please tell what ICT is? I'm not clear about it. So they were very cordial while they said me it's about information communication and technology. So I said there are virtual court systems and alternate dispute resolution. To which they improvised my answer by saying that not only that, but there is e-challan system and e-filing of cases. And now they asked me about the Subhash scheme. I had read about it, but there I actually blacked out kind of. I couldn't remember. So I said them, sir, I can't recall. Then they said me, yes, that's a scheme in Supreme Court that the judgments are now delivered, translated in vernacular languages. To which Justice Panigrahi said that also in our court, we are also doing the same thing. We are also giving judgments in Odia. Then I said, sir, yes, I have come across the judgments, and basically, you were the first judge in the Odisha High Court who delivered a judgment in Odia. To which sir was very happy to know that I'm aware about the happenings that are happening in the Odisha High Court. And thereafter, they said me, okay, now you may go. So when I came out of that room, I was like, they didn't ask me much about the other question like CPC, CRPC, but to my fellow interviews, they asked maybe I was not good at answering them, or they were not impressed by the way I talked, or did I laugh so much, or did they judge me like that? So I came back, then I thought, no, let's leave it to God. Whatever will happen, will happen. And then, so with the grace of God and all of your blessings, this is where I stand now.
So the duration was around 20 minutes.
No, sir. For me, it was 15 minutes, but for the rest, it was 20 minutes, 22 minutes, like that. So I was a little skeptical. Maybe they didn't like me, they didn't like the way I answered questions.
No, actually, interviewers, if they see that someone, is answering very well, and if we keep on asking questions, the person will keep on answering in the same way. So generally they won't waste time. So they'll go to the next candidate. That is what happened with you. So I think within the initial period, they made up their mind. Okay, so this is the marks we are going to give. Okay,
Thank
now.
you.
Uh, you said that mostly your biggest source was internet. Um,
No, sir. It's books. It's books, but anywhere I found any doubt or a certain problem which I was unable to answer, I sought the help of the internet, which was almost 24 into 7 available for me.
okay, what about case laws? How did you incorporate? What was your source of especially recent case laws?
Sir, for that I relied on live law. And mostly, sir, everyone has to keep oneself up with the current affairs, basically the legal current affairs, the legal developments that is being taken up, and the recent judgments. So, live law, they actually don't post the whole of the judgment, and it's not we don't have much time to go through every judgment every day because we have other tasks to be done. So it's important to know the crux of the matter, and I believe that live law is an amazing source which worked really well for me, where the important or the crux of the matter was laid down in a very nice manner. So what I did, sir, the every important judgment, I made a separate copy for that, and I started writing what is the case law, the case title of the case, and the crux of the matter. And when I was given questions relating to IPC, CRPC, while I answered them, I wrote the recent case, that is 2022-23 case laws, that I believe was a little bit impressive on the part of the examiner. So.
Okay. Coming to your answer writing, how did you practice that? Like you solved previous year questions, or you took some test series, etc.
Sir, honestly, I had taken a test series in the month of November while the previous year result were out. So I had a fear of missing out that I might end up without joining a coaching or without engaging in any test series. So I had taken the test series. But the fun fact is, sir, I started my preparation in February, but I had taken this test series in November. So I don't know what I had written, but the concerned teacher were good enough to tell me, no, no, you're writing well, you need to improvise a little more. And so the test series I took, I couldn't even complete it. So there are 22, 24 test series, out of which I had written 10 or 12 test series. Others have remained unattempted. So I literally actually made a very bad decision by taking a test series without being prepared. So I would recommend everyone first prepare, then take a test series. So, sir, when I started preparing, there I thought, no, I don't need any kind of test series. I had that book, OJ's last past year questions, and I practiced last 10 years questions. So while I practiced those, I started improvising my answer. Each time I write the answer or the same answer, I get to know that there are certain points I need to eliminate and there are certain new points I need to add. And I need to maintain a structure of the answer writing so that the examiner who's reading it maintains a flow throughout and it does not become haphazard. And the most important part is that while writing the main answer, which actually carries the most of weightage of the mark, I would recommend that presentation matters the most because everybody who's attempting the questions is writing basically the same answer. If presentation style will be unique, that will attract the examiner to give some more marks. And one more thing that I would like to add, time management is the key, and it does not come overnight. One has to really, really effort hard for that. When I started writing my first descriptive answer after the preliminary results were out, so it took me 55 minutes to complete one answer. So if that would have been the pace, I would have basically completed only 2 to 3 questions in the entire examination. So I practiced day in and day out, and the time limit was reduced from 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And I would like to cite a very interesting thing that while I was writing the procedural answers, there was not a single time that I could have completed the entire procedural paper. Always there was section C that was left out, which I was unable to go. By that time, 2.5 hours were over. But that was my biggest fear. But thank to God and the grace of Almighty Sir, I completed my procedural paper on the examination day just 5 minutes before 2:30. But 2:30 hours, 2.5 hours were over. So I would recommend everyone, please keep on practicing that. While writing the answer, two things should work simultaneously. One's hands and the other one is one's brain. Whatever one is thinking, one must go on writing. If there is one takes a time or takes a pause to think about it, the flow is broken and it's kind of nearly impossible to complete the answers within time. That is the most challenging part of procedural law. For other writing parts, I would say there is plenty of time. One can just sit and write. There's no problem in that. But for procedural part, practice is the key, so.
Okay, so finally, जो पिलामाने सबू निजे प्रिपेयर करछन्ते, लेट्स से जो माने टिके रिमोट एरियाज रे भी रहउछन्ती बट इंटरनेट एक्सेस रहउची, जो माने इंस्टीट्यूशनल कोचिंग में भी से माने इधर अफोर्ड कर परिबेनी कि जॉइन करिया पे चाहनंती, सेल्फ स्टडी रे से माने पाया पे चाहछन्ती। तो ओवरऑल गोटे प्रिपरेशन पई कौन आपण फाइनली व्हाट वुड बी योर फाइनल वर्ड, फाइनल टिप्स कौन पिलांकु देबे, एस्पिरेंट्स को जेबे जो माने ओजेएस पे प्रिपेयर करिया पे चाहछन्ती?
ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ଏଇଟା କହିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି କୋଚିଂ ନବା କିମ୍ବା ନ ନବା ଗୋଟେ ପର୍ସନାଲ ଚଏସ୍। ମୋ ପାଇଁ ବିନା କୋଚିଂରେ ଯଦି ମୁଁ କରିପାରିଲି ତାହେଲେ ଅନ୍ୟମାନେ ବି ଯଦି କରିପାରିବେ ସେଟା ମୁଁ କହିପାରିବି ନାହିଁ। ତେଣୁ ସମସ୍ତେ ନିଜର ୱିକନେସ୍ ଜାଣିବା ଉଚିତ। ଜଣକୁ ଯଦି ହେଲ୍ପ ଦରକାର ତାହେଲେ କୋଚିଂ ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଜିନିଷ, ସମସ୍ତେ ନେବା ଉଚିତ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଯଦି କୌଣସି କାରଣବଶତଃ ଫାଇନାନ୍ସିଆଲି ହଉ କି ଦୂରରେ ରହିଥିବା ହେତୁ ହଉ, ଯଦି ଜଣେ ନେଇ ନ ପାରୁଛନ୍ତି, ସେଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ୟାରାମିଟର ନୁହେଁ ଯେ ଜଣକୁ ରିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେନ୍ କରିବ କି ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଏଟା କରିପାରିବିନି ବୋଲି। କୋଚିଂ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ମାଧ୍ୟମ, ଗୋଟେ ସାହାଯ୍ୟର ଗୋଟେ ସୋର୍ସ, ଯୋଉଠିକି ଆମକୁ ଆମ ଟିଚର୍ସ ମାନେ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରନ୍ତି। କିନ୍ତୁ ପରିଶ୍ରମ ଆମକୁ ନିଜେ ହିଁ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ, ଆଉ ଲେଖିବାକୁ ବି ଆମକୁ ନିଜେ ହିଁ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ। ଏମିତି ବହୁତ ସମୟ ଆସିଥାଇପାରେ ମୋ ଲାଇଫରେ ବି, ମାନେ ମୋର ଏଇ ଜର୍ଣ୍ଣିରେ ବି ଆସିଛି। ସର୍ଟନ୍ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ସ ମୋର ଯେତେବେଳେ ଡାଉଟ୍ ଆସେ, ଆଇ ରିଏଲି ଫାଇଣ୍ଡ କେହି ନଥାନ୍ତି ସେଟା କିଏ ମାନେ ଯେ ମତେ ସଲ୍ଭ କରିକି ଦେବା ପାଇଁ। ତ ସେଇ ଜାଗାରେ ମୁଁ ଇଣ୍ଟରନେଟ ଉପରେ ବହୁତ ଭରସା କରିଛି। ତେଣୁ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ହଉଛି ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ଲମ୍ବା ପ୍ରୋସେସ, ବହୁତ ଲମ୍ବା ପ୍ରୋସେସ। ଆଉ ୟା ଭିତରେ ଯଦି କନଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଟଲି ଆମ ସହିତ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ରହିବା ଦରକାର, ସେଇଟା ହଉଛି ଧୈର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଶକ୍ତି। ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ମଣିଷ ଗୋଟେ ସମୟ ପରେ ବହୁତ ପ୍ରିପାର, ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟିଂରେ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଜୋଶ ଥାଏ କି ହଁ ଆମେ କରିଦବୁ କରିଦବୁ। ମିଡ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦ ଜର୍ଣ୍ଣିରେ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଲାଗେ ନା ହଉନି, ସରୁନି, କୋର୍ସ ସରୁନି। ମତେ ବି ସାର୍ ଲାଗିଥିଲା କି ନାଇଁ ମୋ କୋର୍ସ ସରିବନି, ଏବେ ବି ମତେ ଲାଗୁଛି ମୋର କୋର୍ସ ସାରିନି ବୋଲି। ତେଣୁ ସବୁବେଳେ ଲାଗିବ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ଛୁଟୁଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ନାଇଁ, ନିଜର ସୋର୍ସକୁ ପ୍ରଥମତଃ ବହୁତ ହି ଲିମିଟେଡ ରଖନ୍ତୁ। ସବୁ ସୋର୍ସରୁ ଜାଣିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ। ବହୁତ ବଡ ବଡ ଅଥର୍ସ ବହୁତ ସାରା ବୁକ୍ସ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି, ସବୁ ବୁକ୍ସ ପଢିବାର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ନାହିଁ। ଗୋଟିଏ ହିଁ ବୁକ୍ ଉଠାନ୍ତୁ, ତାକୁ ଭଲସେ ପଢନ୍ତୁ, ତା ଦେହରୁ ନିଜେ ନୋଟ୍ସ ବନାନ୍ତୁ, ଆଉ ସେ ଜିନିଷଟାକୁ ବାରମ୍ବାର ରିଭିଜନ କରନ୍ତୁ। ରିଭିଜନ ଇଜ ଦ କି। ଯଦି ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ପୁରା କୋର୍ସ ନ ବି ସାରି ପାରୁଛି, ମୁଁ ଯେତିକି ପଢୁଛି ଯଦି ମୁଁ ସେତିକିର କୋର୍ସଟାକୁ ବାରମ୍ବାର ରିଭିଜନ କରିପାରିବି, ତାହେଲେ ତାର ବେଶୀ ଚାନ୍ସ ଅଛି କି ମୁଁ ବେଟର ପରଫର୍ମ କରିପାରିବି। ଆଉ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଜିନିଷ, ଈଶ୍ୱର ବିଶ୍ୱାସୀ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ। ଆପଣ ଯଦି କର୍ମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ପରିଶ୍ରମ କରିଛନ୍ତି, ଭଗବାନ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସହିତ କେବେ ଅନ୍ୟାୟ କରିବେନି। ଆପଣ ଯଦି ସେତିକି ହାର୍ଡସିପ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି, ଫାଇନାନ୍ସିଆଲ କନଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଣ୍ଟ ହଉ କି ଅନ୍ୟ କୌଣସି ଜିନିଷ ପାଇଁ ଆପଣ ଆଫୋର୍ଡ କରିପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ଆଉ ଭଗବାନ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ ନିଷ୍ଠାର ସହିତ ପରିଶ୍ରମ କରିଛନ୍ତି, ତାହେଲେ ଭଗବାନ ହିଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ସହାୟ ହେବେ, ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଭଲ ଜାଗାରେ ନେଇକି ରଖିବେ।
ओके, अच्छा आ गोटे जिनस मु इंटरव्यू रे पचरा बोलिली, आपनकर मीडियम ऑफ इंटरव्यू कोन थिला? आपन क्वेश्चन से माने इंग्लिश रे पचरथिले ना ओडिया ना दीटा मिसी की पचरथिले?
ସାର୍ ମତେ ତ ଇଂଲିଶରେ ପଚାରିଥିଲେ କିନ୍ତୁ ସର୍ଟେନ ପିଲା ଥିଲେ ଯୋଉମାନଙ୍କୁ ଇଂଲିଶ ଓଡିଆ ବୋଥରେ ବି ପଚାରୁଥିଲେ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଆଇ ୱୁଡ୍ ଆଡଭାଇସ୍ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନେ ଇଂଲିଶରେ ପଚାରୁଛନ୍ତି ତ ଇଂଲିଶରେ ଆନ୍ସର କରିବାଟା ବେଟର ଯଦି ଓଡିଆରେ ପଚାରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେତେବେଳେ ଓଭର ସ୍ମାର୍ଟ ନ ହେଇକି ଓଡିଆରେ ଆନ୍ସର କରିବାଟା ଉଚିତ ବୋଲି।
Okay, so Bhagwan Karantu, we wish you all the best. Um, Many successes in your journey forward as a judicial officer. Um, so all the best, to Sushrita. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.
Namaskar.